Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is time for another edition of Pre-Market PulseScan with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the Thirst Quencher, the six pack, where you can get started trading with us for as little as $69 a month. Also, you can open up a free account with us, and we have some free surprises and goodies in there for you. Right now, there is an added bonus. If you subscribe with us and open an account, you will be able to get access to my free technical analysis study course. That's right. All right. So that's a huge retail value in and of itself. All right. So come on over and you'll get that. It's not a problem. Once you sign up for any one of our six packs, boom, it's yours. Put it right in your hand. All right. I don't know where we're going this morning. I don't know what I'm doing this morning. For the first time ever, I don't know what I'm doing. Now, suffice to say, I know where I am. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't know how this is going to go this morning because there is so much going on. So much going on. I promise we're going to get to it all. I'm going to bring you the news. I'm going to bring you these markets. We're going to go in. We're going to dive in. We're going to make it do what it do. Some good comments and questions in the trading room. We're going to try to address each and every one of those. And also another update from yours truly. It was really funny because while we was in the trading room, I was looking, always when I get up in the morning, I always look and read, see what happened in the overnight, see what traders are doing in the room. Because we do have traders from literally all over the planet, all right, multiple time zones. So while I'm sleeping, it's their morning, vice versa. So I like to see what's going on, what's been said. And my man Zach had a really, 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 really good point that he made up. But what Zach didn't know is that I was looking at the same thing this morning, right before he posted his comment. I was already in the process of looking at Bitcoin. I was literally looking at the Bitcoin. I was like, you know what? I think I need to add the composite index to the crypto USD report because it could be used as a very helpful tool. And I was thinking about doing that because on my side of the aisle here, we have a futures composite index for the Bitcoin, and we have other just regular composite indexes without a futures component for a handful of others. I think it's like 6 or 7 pairs, if I'm not mistaken. I can tell you right now where it is. All right, here it is. We got, all right, it's a total of 7. So we got a composite index for Bitcoin Cash, Dash, EOS, Ethereum, Litecoin, Neo, and Ripple. All right. So that's what we have it on right now. And of course, Bitcoin. The only issue is I think it's with either the Ripple or the Neo. One of those composite indexes. Sometimes I get this bad tick data, and it can kind of mess my charts up. If you notice, when we do the end of day report, sometimes I'm trying to pull up one of those, and then it looks real nasty, and that's the only downside to that. I just don't remember which one it is, but it's one of those. So anyway, I was thinking maybe I can add them all in there. I don't know. I don't want to confuse everybody, but I figured the Bitcoin one was the one that was in my spirit, so I went ahead and did that, and I did add that. Okay, so all you got to do is go to your dashboard this morning, and I've already updated the USD report. The USD report now has the Bitcoin composite index in it. All right, so you can take a look at that. All right, and we're going to get into indexes, period. Why composite indexes can be very helpful to your trading. I've gone into this in depth in the past. and I will do so again this morning. All right. Well, we got a lot to do this morning, so we're just gonna dive in. First things first, though. Let's get into the overnight markets first. All right, because time always gets away from us, and before I know it, there's an opening bell, and boom, bam. All right, another thing you need to know too, I put my shopping list up last night. It is in the trading room under the alerts tab. So go ahead and click the alerts tab, and you'll see my little teeny bitty shopping list for today. I kept it simple because, as you remember, if you recall, excuse me, last night's video, excuse me, last night's video showed you that a lot of the markets were still technically within a consolidated zone, and we have not started trending either up or down, bullish or bearish. So I had to just place tickets on both sides of the market. I chose the Russell because the Russell has been the weaker sister in the last couple of weeks. So if there's going to be a rally, the weaker sister would stand to gain the most to catch up to its brethren. Now, vice versa, if the markets are going to take another leg down and retest the lows here, then I wanted to be in position for that as well. That's what happens when you're in these consolidated markets. You don't know which way the market is going to go. So you just have to keep placing your tickets until you catch it. Another thing too is, our methodology is very different. All right. It's very unorthodox compared to how most people approach markets. Our technology allows us to avoid false breakouts, false breakdowns, false starts, whipsaws, all that stuff. So normally in a consolidated setting, we will most likely find ourselves riding the bench on the sidelines, not getting a fill. We're still placing tickets when we get the signal to do so, but we will suffer at times with no fills. And that's a good thing because you're not being whipsawed to death and all that jazz. All right. So that's a good thing. You just got to be patient and just work the system. That's it. Work the system. All right. When it tells you you need to stop and reverse, then that's what you need to do. If it doesn't, then don't. Don't ever try to outguess or outthink the system. Just follow the system, work the process. All right. And you will average out on the plus side. That's all you got to do. Now, with that being said, let's look at these overnight markets. All right. So first things first, we had the jobless claims report come out. And we need to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. All right. It was absolutely nightmarish. Nightmarish. The market seemed to have shrugged that off. Historically speaking, when markets shrug off bad news, that is a bullish sign. Okay? When markets can't rally on good news, that is a very bearish sign. Today, the market is technically positive. It's kind of in rally mode per se, based off of that news. It didn't drop the market. Market's still positive. Right now, your Dow futures is up 112 points at 23,503. Your NASDAQ 100 is trading at 86.91 and 3/4, up 97 and 3/4 points. Your E-mini S&P 500 is up 17 and 1/4 points, trading at 27.92 even. Your Russell is up 4.6 points, trading at 1187.5. Full disclosure, I am long the Russell currently. I'm long this Russell from last night. Taking a look at the Bitcoin Futures Composite Index, it is up $340, trading at 7,080. Now, if you used the composite index to get long this market last night, congratulations. All right. You do need to get in here, though, and do something about your stops. You're going to have to manage that stop, tighten that stop up. Reason I say that, look at your overnight low in the futures composite index. You hit an overnight low of 6,465. Currently, we're trading at 7,080. All right. Is it smart to just let this thing ride like this with this volatility? Nah. What you need to do is you need to at least move your stop to break even. If you feel in your bones that it's going to continue to go up, at least move your stop to break even. Don't turn a winning trade into a losing trade. All right. You've been blessed. If you took that trade off the composite index, you were blessed. Take your blessings. All right. Natural gas right now is down 2 cents at 157. Crude oil is remaining positive. It is up 27 cents, trading at $20.15. All right, I got to give y'all some info. All right, if you trade crude oil futures, do not make the mistake that I made in the past where I got my face completely and utterly ripped off, pulled all the way back to the white meat. All right, straight up. You don't want that. I was looking like Ghost Rider. All right, you don't want to turn into Ghost Rider. All right. This is the May contract. The May contract is your front month. Right now, you need to ignore it. All right. For me, I'm not even trading in the futures right now. I want to so bad, but I can't because we're about to contract roll over to the June contract. All right. So right now, the open interest is just not there. So I'm not swinging it in the June contract just yet. We got like 4 more days of trading on this June I'm sorry, on the May oil contract. So just go ahead and let this May one expire, ignore it. Because the reason I'm saying this is the price disparity in the June contract is massive compared to this one. All right. Right now, the May is still front month and it's trading at the $20 handle. When we roll over to the June contract, the June contract is like $27 a barrel. That means it's trading $7 more in advance from this one. All right. That's huge. So don't get yourself hurt. All right. Now, what you can do, which is what I'm doing, is I'm looking at the ETF, specifically USO. I'm looking at USO. All right. So if we are going to jump off in any kind of way, then at least I can participate with the USO. Me and Dig are not speaking. We're not on speaking terms right now. Neither is me and Doug. I showed you in the video last night. XLE, we might. I don't know, but USO is what I'm focusing on just for right now, and then we'll see what happens during contract rollover. All right, so we'll see what happens next week. So I gotta set on my hands on the futures part, and I'll wait until we officially roll over. That's just me. You can do whatever you see fit. You can do whatever you want. I'm not telling y'all what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. All right, what me, myself, and I are doing. All right, you got, according to my thing right now, you got, and I'm talking about the mini futures contract. I like minis. I'm trading the mini NYMEX crude oil contract, not the big one. Right now, your volume is all in the front month. All right, in the June contract right now, we only got 3,334 to be exact. I don't like that number. I like the 14,722 people that's in the May contract. So I'm going to wait. I'm setting on my hands. Y'all do what y'all want to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm doing currently, presently at this moment. All right. So moving on. If you take a look here at the bonds, right now, the long bond is up 22.30 seconds. We're trading at 181 and 8.30 seconds. Gold now is up $13.20, trading at $1,753.40. Silver is up 19 cents, trading at $15.69. US dollar index is at 99.73, up 27. We hit 99.99 before pulling back. So still having trouble with par. Right now, the dollar is once again having trouble with par. Can't stay above par for any length of time. Taking a look at our forex side, we got the euro yen down 20 pips at 117.02. We got the euro down 44 pips at 108.95. We got the pound sterling down 48 at 125.08. The Aussie dollar is down 21 at 63.09. Looking at food, beans are down 1 1/4 at 8.40 3/4, and corn is down 1/4 at 3.19 even. Man, oh man, there is so much going on. I'm gonna try to pace myself. All right, let me get my other stuff open real quick here. Need my reference points. Bear with me. I'm going to take this out and okay, we're good to go. All right, so here is our notables to talk about in, as far as the overnight markets, what we just looked at. All right, we got primary crash alerts in the following: Dow futures, E-mini S&P 500 futures, NASDAQ 100 futures, and the Russell, no, not the Russell, take that back. The Russell does not have that. So just the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P have primary crash alerts. The Russell has a negative money flow alert, basically. It's a negative money flow alert. We'll see if it can pull up out of that. Here's why I'm liking the long side temporarily right now. I'll tell you why. Reason being is because if you take a look at our intraday price inflection points. All right, so like with the Dow, the intraday price inflection point, it is favoring the bearish bias at the moment. All right, so that is, it is what it is, right? But then when you get over here to the NASDAQ, same thing with these primary crash alerts. But the Russell does not have a primary crash alert. And the intraday price inflection point is favoring the long side of the market. So that is my rationale for placing the ticket the way I placed it. All right. So furthermore, if you take a look at the intraday price inflection point for the Dow and for the S&P and for the NASDAQ 100, you will find that the markets are moving kind of strange. So last night, your Dow did not trigger an alert. It did not get anywhere near its intraday price inflection point. The E-mini S&P 500, on the other hand, did. All right, it did, and then it reversed sharply. Okay, which is very telling in the market. That's favoring a bullish outlook. Take a look at your NASDAQ 100, right? The NASDAQ 100 also did not, just like the Dow, it did not trigger its intraday price inflection point last night. Only the S&P did. All right, and it did it within a half of a point. All right, so it came in, it triggered, and then reversed sharply. So the fact that the other indexes are above the intraday price inflection points is extremely telling, even though the intraday price inflection point was favoring the bear side. We only have one market that triggered that, just one market, and that's the S&P 500. All others remain bullish, the intraday price inflection point. All right, so if that ain't a bullish argument, I don't know what is. Okay. Dirt, yeah, I saw what you wrote on the comments for the Doug. Yes, I thought that was very well stated too. I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw about the oil producers starting to diverge slightly from oil. Yeah, I saw that, and that's well, once again, we're talking about companies that deal in commodities. So because of the oil price being suppressed the way it is, of course, it's going to affect the oil stocks. So you're right. You're right. You're absolutely correct, Dirk. But I still didn't expect to see the chart looking the way it was looking either. It should have been a little. It should have been tracking with the oil. I expected more out of it. Put it that way. I know that the XLE and the Dig and the Dug is not a pure crude oil play like the futures or the OIH or the USO or the UCO. I know that. And really, if you want to be a pure oil play, you have to get in there, and you have to go in the OIH, or you have to go into um, the USO like I did. So I'll give you that. You're right though. I appreciate your comments too, because you were right on point with that. All right, so those are our notable crash alerts, and you see the markets are hovering. They're not triggering. They're not showing signs of weakness, but signs of strength. So we could be due for another bounce or two. All right. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Yeah, you're right. It does happen in the gold and silver miners as well, because once again, they're stocks that deal with the underlying commodity. That's their business. So they catch a boon when their commodity is bullish. They catch a boon from that. But it's like a double whammy, a double pain, if you will, a double stab when the commodity is bearish. So that's what happens. All right, so those are my notables that I wanted to just bring to your attention today. If we switch over to the gold futures right now, the intraday price inflection point was favoring the long side of the market today. All right, so we'll see if the gold can hold it and do what it's supposed to do today. Looking at the silver coming into today, though, silver unfortunately had a primary crash alert for today. All right, and it did not crash. It did not reach the intraday price inflection point. It held support. It actually held the intraday support. So it's looking good. All right, you can make the argument that silver is ready to possibly do a little something here. All right, so again, things are starting to look a little bit more interesting from a trading and markets perspective. And that part is very encouraging. All right, since we're on markets, let me get into the whole issue of the indexing. All right, so as most of you know, especially those who've been with me for a while, I showed you some time ago, some years back, how you could use the cash indexes as far as the U.S. stock indexes. You can use the cash indexes to trade the futures. And the reason for that is that at times, cash will be a leading indicator to the futures. All right. So, for instance, let's use the mini Dow futures. All right. That's all you trade. That's what you love. That's what you do every day. All right. Fine. You can use the cash, the Dow Jones Industrial Cash Index. You can use that average to trade the futures, especially if it's trading at a premium to the futures. Likewise, if it's trading at a discount to the futures as well, you can use that as well. Normally, in a normal setting, if the cash index is trading at a premium to the futures, and the markets are rallying, what that means is that the futures has a lot more to go before it catches the cash index. So if you were making a decision like, should I hold overnight or whatever, if that cash index closes at a premium to the Dow futures, then your answer is yes, you can, because the futures hasn't caught up to the cash index yet. Why do I bring that up? Because my man Zach, man, he had that really good point he made in the trading room as far as the Bitcoin. So the scenario was this. All right, so on our crypto report, we had a rally alert for the Bitcoin USD, right? But the system gave no entry point. It gave no entry point at all. No entry point and no weekly entry point. All right, so you was like, there was nothing there, even though it gave you the alert. Now, looking at it, if my memory serves me correctly, because I don't have it open right now, but I think it was a 911. All right, so 911s, just for clarification, basically is a momentum bias play. It's looking at sort of like the intraday money flow. All right, it's a money flow bias signal, letting you know where the money has been flowing on which side of the market. All right, and so that's what that is. So you look at that. If you get that, it's letting you know that you're probably going to want to trade on the long side of the market, especially if the intraday price inflection point also favors the long side. So you look at your alerts. If you got a bullish alert, do you have a bullish intraday price inflection point? If you do, then you know you want to trade alongside of the market. So then the issue came up. Okay, so all that lined up, but we still didn't get a buy trigger. What in the world, right? And that was kind of confusing. And I said, yeah, I can understand and appreciate your confusion. I said, but here's the thing, though. Did you take a look at the futures composite price index? Most people don't. They don't know it exists on other reports, because we do have it on the index report and we have it in the futures report. But most people don't understand that. So what I did, and what I was already working on before he even brought that point up, I was going to add that in there anyway, and then we were going to talk about it. So it's been added. You can go to the dashboard and look at the crypto USD report, and you'll see the Bitcoin futures composite index located in there. All right, so if you look at the Bitcoin futures composite index, it was giving you a different signal. All right, so, and it gave you a price trigger. All right, so here's how it went. The Bitcoin futures composite index gave you a negative money flow signal, but it's also giving you a buy trigger. All right, so it told you how the money was flowing in the market, but it also gave you that buy trigger. All right, so that part was very telling, and the momentum price trigger was agreeing to that bias, even though the alert was not. The momentum was bearish. So what had happened was, anyone who traded that and took that signal is up big this morning. You're up big. You're looking good. So the issue is, what do you do when you see situations like that? When you see the cash market diverging from the underlining, what you do is you go with the one that is giving you the entry point. So, and you look at where the stop was as opposed to where the entry was as well, and boom, you got it. So that's how you can use the composite indexes or the cash markets to trade the futures. All right, so that's just a little example there. All right, so now we're off of that. Let's get into the overnight market news, because there's some stuff in here we need to talk about. All right, so first and foremost, Warren Buffett is back in the news again. Warren Buffett will let everybody know once he invests the bulk of Berkshire Hathaway's $128 billion cash pile. Bill Ackman says the famed investor may be keeping a low profile to avoid spiking prices while he's buying stocks during the coronavirus-driven market meltdown. Of course, he doesn't want to be seen. He doesn't want to be seen because then he'll be trading against himself, because he'll be moving markets. He doesn't want that. He has to do it in a very slick way. He'll probably be using every dark pool you can think of. Asian economies will see their growth come to a halt this year amid the coronavirus pandemic. IMF warns China is the only country expected to grow, with GDP set to expand 1.2% in 2020. Billionaire bond king Jeff Gundlach sent a bizarre tweet predicting the end of the "you blow dry my hair and I'll blow dry your hair" economy. Gundlach didn't elaborate on what he meant by the comment, but it appears that he was referencing a likely end to wasteful expenditures by consumers and a return to saving. You don't say. You don't say. Amazon shut all its warehouses in France because a court ordered it to reassess worker safety. The ruling stipulated that Amazon could only ship essential goods. Ford's first quarter China vehicle sales were down 35% year on year to 88,770 units. Wow. All of the automakers dealers in China have resumed work, and its sales in March have returned to 75% of the same period last year. All right. ETAD says it has full support from the state owner to resume flights in May. The Abu Dhabi-based airline announced a partial resumption of passenger flights from May the 1st. Apple's new budget iPhone is unlikely to make a splash in China, where 5G is now commonplace. In China, where 5G is now commonplace. In China, where 5G is now commonplace. Booyah, right in your face. Bam! Before today, you did not hear that statement, but now you have. In a poll conducted on social media site Weibo, 60% of roughly 350,000 respondents said they would not buy the $399 model, the cheapest iPhone available. The new iPhone does not have 5G capability. 5G already rolled out and completed in China. 5G is rolled out and completed in China. Very interesting. Economic data, Fed Reserve, John Williams speech, continuing jobless claims, and data on housing starts. All right, so that's what we got going on this AM. And as you know, those jobless things already came out, and it was earth-shattering. 22 million jobless claims in 1 month. 22 million jobs lost in 1 month. 22 million. 22. Last 4 weeks erase all jobs created since the Great Recession. Notice I did not say recession, I said reception. Reception of this new age. This is telling. All right, let's hear this again. All right, so this is going back to the Obama administration. So every job created under the Obama administration has been erased in a month. 22 million jobs lost. All right, y'all want to know the eerie truth about that? Now, that is devastating. It's devastating for the economy, right? All right, I hope y'all ready for this. Hope you're sitting down. Wall Street loves hearing stuff like that. That right there is a Wall Street fantasy. They love layoffs. They love job layoffs because then companies get to do some mystical, magical financing and say, look at our earnings now, because we don't have to pay $1 billion a month in payroll. Now we just switch that over to profit, and look, we're profitable. Stock goes through the roof. This is crazy, folks. This is just, and I've never seen anything like this. All right, ever. We keep hitting records. Think about that. This surge in jobless claims pretty much has just pushed the unemployment rate up to at least 17% in April. That's a new post-World War II high, folks. Hasn't been nowhere near this since World War II. before most of us were probably born. This is crazy. Crazy. And we're still in the thick of this. We still have until like what? May, June? End of May, end of June? Until this officially, technically is over? This is crazy. Never seen anything like this. Ever. But this is where we are. Now, I'm sure as time goes on, we'll get some revisionist history and someone will claim that it was never that bad. But we got it right here, folks. Philly Fed collapses by most ever to 40-year lows. The Philly Fed joined the rest of the regional Fed surveys in an utter bloodbath. Against expectations of a 32 print, Philly Fed crashed to negative 56.6, the lowest since 1980, and the biggest 2-month drop in history. Look how ugly this thing is. April prices paid fell to negative 9.3 versus a positive 4.8. New orders fell to negative 70.9 versus a negative 15.5. Unemployment fell to negative 46.7 from a positive 4.1. Shipments fell to negative 74.1 versus a positive 0.2. Delivery time rose to 4.1 versus a negative 9.1. Inventories fell to a negative 10.2 versus a positive 1.7. Unfulfilled orders fell negative 13.5 versus negative 7.4. Average work week fell to negative 54.5 versus a positive 0.5. Wow. 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 That's all I can say. Wow. If the light bulb ain't going off yet, I don't know what will make the light bulb go off. All right, let's look at some more. Housing starts collapse by most in 36 years. The carnage in home builder sentiment following a record collapse in home buyer sentiment means it really should not be a total surprise to see housing starts crashed 22.3% month over month, the biggest drop since 1984. Interesting how these numbers, 1984. Building permits also plunged by a lower amount, down 6.8% month over month. That is absolutely incredible. Can you say mortgage crisis 2.0? What's going to happen when things, quote unquote, get back to normal as far as you can go outside now, but you still ain't got no job and you ain't paid your mortgage and the courthouse is reopened? Is there going to be such a glut and a flood of foreclosures in the courthouse and evictions from people who couldn't pay their rent? Is it going to be catastrophic? What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Now, here's another one. Let's see. All right, here we go. This one is very, very scary. Very, 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 very scary. Global food supply chains beginning to erode as crisis looms. As the coronavirus continues to infect more and more people, food supply chains have started to become more strained in recent days. It was announced yesterday the world's biggest pork producer, Smithfields, is closing a primary U.S. plant indefinitely after a coronavirus outbreak amongst its employees. Smithfield Foods will halt its pork processing facility in South Dakota, which accounts for 4% to 5% of U.S. pork production. The company also warned that closures across the country are taking American meat supplies perilously close to the edge of shortfalls. Wow. This is just one of the latest examples of the coronavirus beginning to disrupt food chains at a more significant scale rapidly. We anticipated this as we reported on April the 1st that food supply chains were in the early stages of being strained. Many countries were preparing many weeks ago by cutting back on exports to begin stockpiling. Surprisingly, dairy farmers in the United States are starting to dump milk because there was no place for them to go, as the marketplace for dairy products has been affected by the closure of restaurants, schools, hotels, and food service businesses. Whoa! There's a picture here of milk trucks dumping the milk in an open field. Wow. One will begin to believe history might not be repeating itself, but it is undoubtedly starting to rhyme. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, the hardest hit industry was farming. Farm incomes dropped by nearly 2/3 at the beginning of the 1930s. Dairy farmers dumped countless gallons of milk into the street instead of accepting a penny a quart. And there is an actual photograph of them dumping milk right in the ground. During World War I, farmers had produced record crops and livestock to keep everyone fed. However, when prices started to fall, they tried to harvest even more to pay their debts and living expenses. In the early 1930s, prices dropped so low that many farmers went bankrupt and lost their farms. In some cases, the price of a bushel of corn fell to just 8 to 10 cents. Some farmers even began burning corn rather than coal in their stoves because corn was cheaper. However, there's a dramatic difference today. Prices are not dropping. In fact, grocery bills are getting more expensive by the day. Supply chains are being disrupted due to the transportation and, of course, processing of a vast selection of foods. As we're beginning to learn, the country where the coronavirus started, which is in China, so they say, may now be facing a food crisis. The country has just reopened its economy as the communist regime has even claimed a coronavirus victory. However, there was a leaked government document made public last Thursday that shows that government officials have been planning for a shortfall in food supplies. The document dated March 28th was drafted following a meeting which was called to make special arrangements for food security. People rushing to buy rice and cooking oil in Chongqing, China on March 31st. Worry about food shortage has been spreading for a while. There has also been leaked internal official notice suggesting people store food supply of at least 3 to 6 months. What? What? They're telling people they need to store up food for 3 to 6 months? What? Wow. Leaked official notification issued on March 28th. Main points enhance awareness of the urgency and crisis state of food shortage, guide and motivate the masses to ensure each family maintains food storage for 3 to 6 months. That is absolutely frightening. All right. All right. So let's digest this for a minute. All right. So you're saying that they knew about food shortages. Now, it's one thing to say, okay, we short, a truck will be in 2 weeks or whatever. Everybody can digest that. Everybody can get with that. It's not, it's not difficult. It's not hard to understand or whatever, right? But 3 to 6 months is a extremely long time. A month, okay, that's doable for most people, but 3 to 6 months, whoa, that's devastating. The state party committee and the state governments and counties and cities must do everything possible to transfer and store all kinds of living materials, such as grain, beef, mutton, oil, and salt through various channels, the document said, according to a report from Radio Free Asia. The document also calls for the mobilization of masses to consciously store grain and ensure that each household reserves between 3 and 6 months of grain for emergencies. As we tweeted out, there seems to be a sense of panic food buying in response to rumors around food shortages in certain parts of the country. Wow. Wow. Another alarming headline that came late last month was the warning from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, who has now warned of global food shortages in the coming months. The worst that can happen is that governments restrict the flow of food. Governments restrict the flow of food? Wait a minute. Why would the government want to restrict the flow of food? That sounds like a deliberate act. Harvests have been good and staple crops remain in demand, but a shortage of field workers brought on by the pandemic and a move towards protectionism, tariffs, and export bans could lead to problems in the coming weeks. All measures against free trade will be counterproductive. Now is not the time for restrictions or putting in place trade barriers. Now is the time to protect the flow of food around the world. Some countries have begun to protect their food supplies by restricting exports. And that could lead to an overall decrease in trade and a subsequent decline in food production. Trade barriers will create extreme volatility, warned. They will make the situation worse. That's what we observe in food crises. Another measure that could threaten the world's food supply is that nations have issued stay at home orders at varying levels of enforcement. If agricultural workers are legally unable to harvest crops, it could cause a lapse in food flow. Coronavirus is affecting the labor force, and the logistical problems are becoming very important. We need to have policies in place so the labor force can keep doing their job. Protect people too, but we need the labor force. Major countries have yet to implement these sorts of policies to ensure that food can keep moving. One thing is clear: certainly are supply chain disruptions going on within the food industry globally. The question is, how bad will it get? All right, that is probably the most frightening piece of news I have read to you. Now, this was talked about before, but it was years ago, about just the fragility of our food supply. There was a documentary that was done called Food Inc., and it exposed the chinks in the armor as far as global food supply and how we get our food. All right. And that, for the most part, went ignored. No one cared. No one made a sound about it. I'll tell you this, though. I have not been hearing anything about food shortages on the mainstream media. All they're talking about is coronavirus cases. They're not talking about anything else. I will tell you this, too. Speaking as a person who is located in the United States, you are hard pressed to find rice anywhere in any store. Good luck finding rice on any shelf. All right. Rice is more scarce than hand sanitizer. There has been a resurgence of toilet paper. All right. You can find toilet paper and paper towels, but hand sanitizer and any kind of cleaning products, you're done. No way. And rice, you're not finding no rice nowhere. Nowhere. That should be telling people everything they need to know. All right, this next one is also very telling. Now, let it be said that the meat market has been a gangster market for many decades. Remember when they were trying to sue Oprah? Said they were going to take everything she had? Well, that's the same meat market we're talking about. All right, we're talking about the meat market. All right, they're all in it together. When we say meat, we mean meat. We mean pork and beef. All right, so these issues have been there for a minute, and the things that they have done has been very telling. That's another thing too. Smithfield has been a gangster company as well. Okay, they've been a gangster company. There was a documentary done on Smithfield also many moons ago. I think it was on 2020. My wife and I saw that, how they were treating their workers, and it was also really bad. So, this crisis is pretty telling. All right, this next piece is also pretty scary. Canadian meat industry warns of immediate and drastic impact to supply. We have been covering the impact of coronavirus on meat processing facilities in the U.S., and now it's time to look as though Canada is feeling the shockwaves as well. The country's supply chain could come under pressure as industry leaders in Canada have warned of immediate and drastic effects from the closures of key North American meat processing facilities, according to CTV. All right, let me pause for a second. Canada, you're not off the list as far as being gangster too. I saw a documentary on how their maple syrup industry is gangster. It's run like a mafia. I mean, that right there is telling as well. So maybe this shakeup in our supply chains could produce something on the back end that's more positive. All right. And in Canada, a number of facilities have been reduced, including one Carnival plant in Alberta, where dozens of employees have tested positive for coronavirus. This single facility represents just over 1/3 of Canada's total processing capability, so the impacts to the Canadian beef industry are expected to be immediate and drastic. Immediate and drastic. Drastic. Notice the language that's being used. Drastic. CCA President Bob Lowe said North American production has been severely limited and has called on the Canadian government to implement measures to help out Canadian farmers. The Canadian beef industry is facing a period of extraordinary uncertainty. He continued, existing programs do not address the particular threats we are facing and, in fact, fall quite short. These are challenging times for all Canadians. It is together that we can implement solutions to ensure healthy and affordable food continues to be readily available. Recall, just yesterday we wrote about the biggest pork producer in the U.S., Smithfield, who shuttered one of its largest factories after a coronavirus outbreak. Smithfield also issued a warning of its own, stating that meat supplies are perilously close to the edge of shortfalls. Let me pause right there. My wife brought it to my attention that there was also a meat recall recently here in the States. All right. Yeah. There was a piece on Trump, Frank, the other day, saying that the coronavirus came out of the Wuhan facility. As a matter of fact, Trump specifically said he was looking into the fact that it came directly out of that level 4 lab in Wuhan. Again, I don't know. 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 I think it's the perfect scapegoat, to be honest with you. I don't trust the world governments right now. I do not trust. I don't trust. I don't. Because of what we know. And what we know is devastating to everything that they say. All right. Peep this. We know that they have now weaponized pretty much every disease known to man. All right. I told you a virgin can get chlamydia or any other sexually transmitted disease, even though she has not been around a man. All right. They can give that to you. They can deliver these things. They is already been declassified. All right. That goes up there with the heart attack gun, where they can shoot an ice pellet in your neck and it'll dissolve and leave no trace and you die of a heart attack. The technology that has been militarized is absolutely scary and frightening. All right. We know that they've weaponized everything. They can deliver it to you. All right. Now, we also know that they denied chemtrails for decades and only recently admitted that they've been doing it, but they said the reason they've been doing it is to fight global warming. All right. That still is not taking responsibility. Again, you call conspiracy analysts nutcases and said that it was not happening. But now you finally say, okay, fine, it has been happening, but we're doing it for a different reason, not nefarious reasons. How do you expect anyone to trust you, government, or take you seriously, government, if you keep lying about everything and telling people that they are stupid for even suggesting such a thing? We live in scary times when you can't even question anything without being ostracized, marginalized, and punished. People need to wake up to these realities. All right? We got to. Just like the whole weather modification. All right? When Alex Jones and other people were talking about how they've weaponized weather and can do whatever they want with weather and cause earthquakes and use HARP and they can make it snow, they can make it rain, they can do whatever they want. Everybody said, oh, look at this nutcase again. But then when we saw the actual patent documents and we saw actual treaties that were made among the nations agreeing that they would not use weather in warfare, how do you deny such a thing when the documents are right there in black and white? And for years they denied it. But then all the declassified documents came out showing that that's exactly what they've been doing. So how do you expect us to trust anything you say? We can't. We can't. All right. And then they want to lock you up if you question their narrative. And they want to delete you off of social media to make sure you don't have a voice and a platform so people can't hear you. All right, that's another way to marginalize you. It's absolutely absurd. It really is. But what can the people do? They made it so that it's illegal for you to question them or protest in any way, shape, or form. And if you leave your house, you're under arrest because you're already under house arrest. You can't look, and they made it illegal to assemble in groups. Isn't that what protest is all about? It's now illegal to protest in the United States. It is illegal to protest. It is illegal. You say, no, it's not. We still have the right to assemble. No, you don't. That has been suspended under medical martial law. You cannot assemble. Any group of more than 10 people, you're under arrest. As a matter of fact, they won't even let the group get that big. As soon as they see a group forming, you're under arrest for violating the 6-foot safety rule and every other medical rule that they want to throw at you. You're under arrest. So you can't get together. You can't assemble. If right now everyone says, okay, we're going to march on Washington to protest, everybody will be arrested. And I know what you're thinking. They can't arrest everybody. If thousands of people show up, they can't arrest everybody. That's where you're wrong. They've already mobilized the military, remember? They've already mobilized aircraft carriers and battleships, remember? The battleships are now makeshift hospitals, quote unquote, wink, wink. Nah, no. Those are roaming jails and prisons to throw everybody in should the civil unrest jump off. All right, they're already prepared for that. They want you to assemble in March so they can lock each and every one of you up. Do you know they have dozens of FEMA camp facilities already operational to throw you into? Let the descent happen. They're ready. They're ready to crack that whip. They can't wait. They've been salivating over it. All right, so that is what is going down, folks. They're just looking for a reason. Now, peep this. Smithfield's chief executive officer, Ken Sullivan, said, the closure of this facility, combined with a growing list of other protein plants, have been shuttered across our industry. It's pushing our country perilously close to the edge in terms of our meat supply. It is impossible to keep our grocery stores stocked if our plants are not running. He said, impossible. Smithfield had planned on closing their plant for 3 days, but South Dakota Governor Christie asked them to extend the closure to 14 days. Wow. Gee Willikers, Batman. This is exactly what is happening, folks. And again, nothing anyone can do about it. Now, Fox News finally is reporting that coronavirus originated in a Wuhan lab. All right, that is now the narrative that is okay to push. At first, it wasn't okay to say that, but now all of a sudden it is. Really? Really? All right, here we go. Lockdown backlash begins. Angry crowd surrounds the Capitol and demands Michigan governor reopen the economy. As we have noted, the evolution of the virus pandemic is not just a public health crisis nor a financial meltdown, but could transform into a social unraveling. And oh boy, it appears we could be right. But before we cover today's event, several weeks ago, what piqued our interest was a warning from the Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies of how a social bomb was ready to explode over major Western cities in a few weeks. And it appears those few weeks have just expired as protests begin. On Wednesday afternoon, massive crowds organized by a conservative group has surrounded Michigan State Capitol building. Protesters are angry at Governor Gretchen's stay-at-home public health order during the pandemic. Supporters of the Michigan Conservative Coalition have requested Whitmer to reopen the economy on May 1st and ease restrictions to return life to normal. WWJ News Radio 950's Charlie Langdon said organizers are calling the movement Operation Gridlock. Langton tweeted a video of a traffic jam of protesters that extends for miles outside Lansing, waiting to get to the Capitol. Woo TV's Heather Walker provides coverage from within the Operation Gridlock as people use their cars to lock down streets across the Capitol building. Walker interviewed several Michiganders who are fed up with the public health order and want the economy to reopen. Many said they could make their own health decisions and don't need the government to tell them or force them on what to do. Governor, open your economy on May 1st and respect our rights and freedoms. Wild scene in Lansing, Michigan, as hundreds of people protest the state's stay-at-home order. There's video footage of that. Some protesters were dressed in body armor, wielding AR-15s. What? Oh, so the people are ready to get it popping. Finally, people are protesting and standing up for their rights, saying we're not going to just take this land down. What? So we got soldiers in Michigan. We got patriots in Michigan, huh? So they showed up in body armor wielding AR-15s. Whoa. In what looks like revolutionary times, some protesters were riding horses. Whoa. More views of people with body armor and weapons at the steps of the Capitol. Whoa. What you can call this a media blackout. Go ahead. You can say it. I'll let you get it out. Go ahead and say media blackout, because that's exactly what this is. Here's another view of the protesters looking down streets. People are not happy about the public health order that has collapsed their local economy. More people with weapons. Wow. Incredible. And this is by mid-afternoon. It appears the Capitol building has been surrounded by cars. Whoa. Look at the footage. Wow, look at westbound 496, more than a mile out of Lansing, Michigan. Many local news stations are saying that dozens of people showed up, more like dozens of thousands. They're trying to downplay it on the mainstream media. After a month of lockdown, slamming the local economy into depression with hundreds of thousands of job losses, people are starting to get angry and are now locking down roadways around the Lansing Capitol building, demanding the governor reverse the public health order. How long until Operation Gridlock spreads to other U.S. cities? Good mugga. We are definitely not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. Man, oh man. This is what we're talking about. This is what's up. All right. I think I have pretty much run the gamut this morning on stuff. But wait, there's one more. Now this one's a doozy. You ready? All right. World War Z. Dead patient infects medical examiner with COVID-19. Whoa. It should now make sense why China was so adamant in cremating bodies as the fast-spreading virus terrorized Wuhan earlier this year. This is because a new report published on April the 11th says a medical examiner recently passed away after contracting COVID-19 from a corpse. From a corpse. From a corpse. He didn't just get the virus, he died. Now he too is a corpse. The incident took place in Bangkok, Thailand, at an unknown date when a medical worker was infected with the virus after conducting tests on a COVID-19 corpse, the study said, which was recently published in the Journal of Forensic and Legal Medicine. The death of the medical examiner is the first report on COVID-19 infection and death among medical personnel in a forensic medicine unit, according to the authors. Whoa. Authors Juan, something I won't even attempt to pronounce, and Vero, I won't try to pronounce that either, wrote in the journal that forensic medical professionals must wear a protective suit, gloves, gargles, a cap, and a mask while operating on COVID-19 corpses. There is a low chance of forensic medicine professionals coming into contact with infected patients, but they can have contact with biological samples and corpses, they explained. The authors also suggested that the same disinfection protocols used in operating rooms must be applied to forensic units. In the U.S., the dead are piling up at hospitals across the country. By Wednesday morning, April 14th, total COVID-19 deaths have topped nearly 26,000, leaving more storage capacity at many hospitals overflowing with bodies. Refrigerated trailers have been called in to increase storage at some facilities, specifically in New York City and Detroit. And maybe there are some uncanny parallels of today's COVID-19 pandemic and with the 2013 movie World War Z. Good gobbly goops. What in the world is happening? What in the world is happening, folks? This is craziness, man. Straight up, this is craziness. I don't know what to tell you on this one, man. This is what they like to keep out of the mainstream news. They don't want the real news going forward, so they'll talk about some nonsense, things that don't mean nothing. Because as long as they're entertaining you, you're not researching and checking out the real headlines. They're keeping you socially ignorant and unaware, and that's not a good thing. But that's why you got PulseWave trading. That's why you got the pre-market PulseScan report, my man. Because we go in, we deal with these things that they don't want to talk about. We talk about things they don't want to talk about. That's what we do here on a daily. All right, so we got a little bit of volatility since we've been doing our report segment. At one point, the Dow futures was down about 300. Now we're only down 241. The NASDAQ has remained positive the entire time. S&P pulled down, we're down 15 now, and the Russell is down 23.8 points. But I'm not shook over that at all. In addition to that, let's see here. Okay, so got filled on the inverse ETF DXD. I figured let's give it another whirl. Let's see what happens. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, do we need a PulseWave news channel? What do you folks think, or do we like getting it all in one session? One-stop shop. I like the one-stop shop. I think it's pretty cool. It makes it longer, you know. So, but we'll see what the folks think. Whatever the people want, that's what we're gonna give them. You know, we're gonna give to them. You know, whatever they want, whatever they desire. We'll do it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I think today is gonna be just another possible humdrum type of an inside day. That's kind of how it's shaping up. Not a lot of action. I'm not seeing breakouts or real breakdowns. I'm just seeing more of the same. We have not broken out upside anywhere. I'm looking. I just don't see it. There's no upside breakout in the US stock indexes. It's just not there. But I think we're going to probably just do some hovering today. So it's a mixed bag. We'll see what happens. If anything jumps off, I'll definitely let y'all know. We'll see what happens. All right, so I'll see the rest of y'all in the trading room, and then the rest I'll see at the end of the day report. Yeah, I talked about Bitcoin already. Yep, I started off with that. All right, so I'm out, man. Remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'm out. Peace.